We're now in Lecture 1, Part 3 on David Ingram's Law. And here we're going to discuss the second of the main traditions in thinking about what law is. That second tradition being legal positivism, natural law theory being the first. And in order for us to discuss legal positivism, we're going to inevitably get to the discussion of the social function of law. And the social function of law is stability. Positive law is just the law that any legislative body happens to pass. US did and now has positive laws. Germany did and now has positive laws in various changing configurations. The claim of legal positivism is that positive law is all there is, as far as law is concerned. That law is not based on any kind of universal laws of morals embedded in nature. Legal positivism does not claim that there are no universal moral laws. The claim is only that the legal law is not based on it. Legal positivists may even think that it is good for the positive law to be criticized from the standpoint of morals, to gain insight into the positive law or how it should change. But in the final analysis, the positive law need not be based on moral law, and there are no obligations for it to be so based. But then, how does law work? For natural law theorists, it was really easy to explain how law works by saying it must reflect universal moral laws. But positivists do not have that option. So, how then does law work? What is the nature of it on the positivist account? When it comes to legal positivism, the question of what law is becomes a question of the law's social function. The function of the social law, according to positivists, is to provide peace, order, and stability for persons living under the law. And what the law is then determined by this function. To understand how law creates peace, stability, and order, let us observe that, due to law, everyone knows the rules on the basis of which everyone acts in pursuit of their goals. And everyone knows that conflicts that arise in the clash of such pursuits will be resolved in such and such ways. One can then predict how others will act and make plans accordingly. The law is good and just if it provides peace, order, and stability, and the law is not good and not just if it does not provide order and stability on the legal positivist's account. The positivist account can, therefore, also provide an explanation of how law can be unjust. It does not preserve peace, order, and stability, and why law should be followed. It creates peace, order, and stability, and so should be followed. And positivism has to get a bit fancy in order to explain why an unjust law must also be followed. An unjust law must then be followed in order to provide peace, order, and stability in the society. But then, unjust must have two meanings. It means that the law is unjust in the sense that it provides some instability, but that not following the law would create much greater instability by undermining lawfulness and stability as such. Or, second meaning, it may mean that the law is unjust in the moral sense, but again, that not following the law would mean instability. And this latter instability would be greater instability by the one created by the immorality of the law. Surely, the persons that are immorally treated in society would rebel against that society in some sense. And that society would have to expend resources to contain unrest and rebellion. That's what moral injustice would have to look like from the standpoint of legal positivism. Those laws are unjust that lead to rebellion and destroy public order and stability. And a law may be unjust if it creates less disorder than if we abandoned that law. Or a law may be unjust because it's immoral and again creates disorder, but less disorder than would be the case if we abandoned that law. In trying to explain why we have an obligation to follow unjust laws on the legal positivist account.